We are subtly creating expectations all the time without even knowing it. So when one of these unpredicted things happen, our emotions go all over the place. Oh, that wasn't meant to happen. Well, you know what? Yes, it was meant to happen, and that's why it happened. Here are some of the common questions that get asked when we start talking about this oneness, spirituality, and the relationship between the universe and us. One of the most common questions that is always asked is, if God is perfect, then why do bad things happen? If there is a God, why does he allow the terrible things that we see in life? The wars, the natural disasters, the loss of innocent lives. Why does that happen? Why do these things happen to me? Why do bad things happen to me? Are these in my destiny? Can I do something about it? How do I overcome the struggles in my life? How do I overcome emotional pain? What do I do when I'm in an abusive relationship? What do I do if I'm in a situation where I'm the victim of abuse, where I'm in constant conflict with other people, when I have bad relationships? How do I forgive someone for the nasty things that they've done to me? How do I deal with present traumas and past traumas? I find it really interesting. I get to meet a lot of people, and sometimes very quickly, when you speak to someone, one of the first things that they tell you about is a trauma that they've been carrying for a really long time. And I've seen that time and time again. People come up to me and say, hi, my name is this, I really like your talks, your videos and all that. And within a minute or two, they start telling me, about 10 years ago, my brother died. Or my father did this to me, or something like that. Unprompted. What that means is we all carry around these traumas, and they become part of our identity. They become one of the most prominent bricks that we label ourselves with. This is who I am. I am the guy who suffered this pain. How do we start to overcome those past traumas? How do we start to let go of those? How do we deal with the death of loved ones? What is in my control? What is out of my control? What is good and what is bad? Are there things that we can call good and bad in life? How do I work with my oneness and self-identity? What am I supposed to do with all these things? Where do all these questions come from? Every single one of these questions comes from one place, and it comes from a place of discomfort within you. It comes from a place of pain. Inside you is a hurt, a discomfort. And when you feel that discomfort, what you're saying is, really, how do I deal with that pain? It may manifest in a whole bunch of different questions like we've talked about. But really what we're saying is, why does it hurt inside? And what can I do about that hurt? And this is the crux of all spiritual knowledge. If your spirituality and your religion don't help you deal with everyday life, then it's absolutely meaningless. There's no point to it. If you don't know how to help yourself during difficult times, if you don't know how to process the circumstances that are happening in your life, your spirituality is just a waste of time, because all it is something that you do to keep yourself busy. It's something that you identify with. I'm a Sikh, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim. It's just a label that you put yourself into. And because you belong to that label, you do all the practices. You dress a certain way, you act a certain way, you speak a certain way. But really, if you don't know how to deal with everyday stuff, what is spirituality then? It's just a costume. And spirituality means I know how to live better. I know I'm equipped with the tools to have a better way of living. and I can share those. So your spirituality is defined by how capable you are of dealing with day-to-day life. And that's a very different definition of spirituality. That's a very different definition of religion. Because you can be judged on the way you look, you can be judged on the way you act, you can be judged on whether you do the right things or eat the right things or say the right things. But the only thing that you should judge yourself on is, am I able to deal with everyday life? That's your benchmark to say, is this stuff working for me or not? And for you to live connected to this reality, to this ultimate essence, you have to change your relationship with your circumstances. You have to learn to have a better relationship with the life that you're in. And you have to have a better relationship with yourself and the emotions that you put yourself through. So, this wisdom is one that I want us to start understanding a little bit more. Suffering is to the mind what pain is to the body. Suffering is to the mind what pain is to the body. What do we mean by that? Let's think about this scenario. What is a healthy body? A healthy body is when there's nothing going wrong on the inside, everything is working, and there's no external distractions, nothing that's attacking you from the outside. That's a healthy body. You know that if your bits are all working properly, it's fine, and if everything else is, there's no diseases or anything on the outside, there's no problem. What happens when you get ill? Yeah? Let's say your nose starts running. Let's say your foot starts hurting. What's the first question that you ask yourself when you're ill, when something starts happening? I tell you what happens to me. Anyone who's got kids in nurseries, right? You know, as soon as you get a cold, it's that kid's fault. Because they go to nursery, they touch a whole bunch of different things, they pick up a whole bunch of germs, they get ill like every other week, and you know you have to deal with it. So what happens when you get ill? The first thing you do is you identify, what's the root of that problem that I'm experiencing? Where is it coming from? And almost always, things don't just spontaneously happen. Actually, when you start getting a little bit older, things just start spontaneously breaking as well. You say, oh, I made a good day and all that sort of stuff, right? Right? So your knees start hurting and things like that. But in reality, normal, healthy lives, means that if you ever get ill, you're able to straight away look for a cause. And we do. We like to know why. Like, why am I ill? Sometimes it's someone else in the family, or you just start making stuff up. Oh, I think it was because I had something, or it's because someone at work or something. You like to know, why am I ill? Okay? We do this with the body. But we also do this with our mind. When we feel unwell in our mind, we also like to blame someone else. So that's what I mean, and we're going to go into this concept a lot more. Think about the last time you had a stomach bug. Yeah? First thing you do, what did I eat? Did you eat it? Did you have that thing? We all had that thing? No, I had that, but you didn't have that. Yeah? Straight away. You start to look at what exactly was the cause of that. So as soon as there's a disturbance within you, we like to know what the cause of that is. But this is not the right way to understand negative emotions. We've treated our emotional health in the same way that we've treated our physical health. But this isn't the right way to deal with our physical health. With our emotional health, we don't need to start looking externally. With our physical health, makes sense. Look for the cause. Why? So that you don't do that again. so I don't eat that dodgy food again. Yeah? With our emotional health, the cause is something different, and we haven't understood this. What we always do is we like to define our emotional state based on other people's interaction with us. I feel sad because of you. I feel angry because of that person and what that person said. I feel stressed because of the traffic. I feel stressed because I was driving and someone else was driving badly. Sound familiar? I feel down because it's raining. Yeah? I always see this. So I grew up in India when I was young. Rain was a blessing. And when I came here, the way people talked about rain was very different. Everyone started saying, oh, isn't it gloomy? They don't just say it's raining, they use a negative word. Oh, it's miserable outside, isn't it? It's terrible, the weather is terrible. And what I found really interesting, even on the TV channels, the weathermen were saying the same things. They were saying it's going to be a gloomy day, not a rainy day. They are putting words into your mind. It's going to be a negative day. You're going to have a gloomy day. It's going to be miserable outside. It's terrible. And I used to go into work and I would say to people, oh, I love the rain. Like, it's amazing that we have so much rain. Like, when I drive around, I always say, in summer, there's nothing as beautiful as the English countryside. It's a beautiful country. You just need to go to Spain or Portugal or anything like that. They don't have this lush green vegetation that we have. And I remind people, we live in a beautiful country because of the rain. You know, all the food that you eat, the carrots and the apples and all those things, they grow because of the rain. That's why we have an abundance of food. That's why we have huge farming communities in this country, because of the rain. So you can start to shift how you think about things. Same rain, two different ways of looking at it. So blame is something that we've got into the habit of doing. We're constantly blaming something else. But let us look a little bit more as to why we suffer. What are the causes of suffering? This is a simplification. We can go into every single one of these symptoms in a lot more detail. But I'm going to give you some very high-level understandings. Stress, worry, and anger all come from a fear. Stressed, whenever you feel stressed, whenever you feel worried, even when you're angry, the root cause of them is actually fear. Let's think about this. All you have to do in the mornings is be a couple of minutes late, see what your emotions are like. I go through this every day. I do the school run. I drop my kids off to school. We have to leave at 8:15. 8:05, I'm okay, saying, yeah, guys, we need to start thinking about getting our shoes and coats on and bags on. 8:10, I'm like starting to raise my voice. 8:15, I'm losing it. Absolutely losing it. Guys, we're late. I don't want to be late. If I drop you late, then I've got to come home late and I've got to get ready and then I've got to go to work. And all of those things start changing. My very reaction changes minute by minute. You can see it. And the kids know, and mummy is saying to them, you better hurry up because it's getting close to 8:15. Daddy's going to start getting angry. So, what is it that's changed? What's actually changed at the root cause is I'm getting more and more afraid. I'm getting more and more worried. Actually, time is getting later and later and later. The kids are like, so what? Kids turn up late all the time. Kids turn up late to school all the time. I don't care about the kids turning up late. I'm worried about me being late. I don't want to be late. So really, the root cause is a fear. cause of worry is that I'm starting to get more afraid. I'm worried that I'm going to be late. So do you see that there's a fear? Let's look at anger. When I'm angry, when I get angry at my kids or whatever, what I'm really saying is, I'm trying to convince you of something, but you're not listening. And the more and more angry I get is the more and more scared I'm getting that I'm losing my ability to convince you, and I really need to convince you. It's a fear. So I'm getting more and more angry, not because of you, because my fear is increasing, because the likelihood of me winning is getting less and less and less. The fear is increasing. Yeah? So let's look at some of these things. Let's look at pain. Let's look at pleasure. In a very simplistic form, we can say that happiness is generally when we get things in life. Sadness is when things that we want get taken away. This is an oversimplification, but actually sometimes it's really useful to start simplifying life in this way. And actually think, why am I sad? What am I worried about? What's being taken away right now? Something is being taken away. Why do I feel happy? Let's look at the most fundamental parts of life. When somebody is born, what do? We celebrate. Why? Because we've received something in our life. New baby's born, we've received something in our life. When someone passes away, what happens? No celebrations there, because something has been taken away. And actually you can simplify all of your happiness and sadness based on whether something has been given to you or something has been taken away. The problem is, most of the time we don't understand life in this way. Most of the time what we do is we like to hold someone else responsible for our emotional state. Someone else should take the blame for the emotions that you are feeling. We need someone to blame. And it could be anyone. It could be family members, colleagues at work, friends, strangers, traffic, weather, destiny. I blame my destiny. Have you ever heard these things? Punjabi phrases. When something goes badly, oh, karma, tere karma che likhya hona. It's in your karam, it's in your karma. Sanjog, I love that word. My mom uses sanjog all the time. Chalo jo sanjog. Like, it's like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make themselves say, okay, I don't really like it, but I can't really do much about it. So they just kind of blame it. Okay, it's in your sanjog. How many times do they use those words when their business is succeeding, or when something is going well in life, or when their kids have passed their exams or anything like that? Then you don't hear those words. You don't hear, it was in your sanjog, it was in your destiny, it was, you've got good karam. Those words only seem to come out when something goes wrong. Why? Because we need something to blame. Someone or something has to be responsible for the stuff that's happening in my life and the emotions that I'm feeling. Someone else and something else is always responsible. But the wisdom of the Guru changes this. The Guru says, as I perceive, so I receive. Ape beej, ape hi khao. What you plant, what you sow, you shall receive, you shall reap. So as I see life, so I receive. If I see life as a series of negative events that I'm a victim of, then I will be more and more of a victim. They did a study, one of the biggest studies that has ever been done, on whether some people are more lucky than others. There's a huge study that was done in America. Is there actually such a thing as luck? Because some people walk around just seeming to be lucky all the time. Everything happens to them. And the conclusion of one of the biggest studies on luck concluded, actually it's all to do with your positive thinking. The people who were more positive walked around with life feeling that they were a lot more lucky, and because they felt they were a lot more lucky, things just seemed to happen better. As I perceive, so I receive. There's actually no such thing as luck. Go look it up. As I think, so I feel. As I think, so I feel. Not as you do, so I feel. So why do we suffer? Let's think about this. When you're sad, where does your sadness exist? In your heart and in your mind. When you're happy, where does happiness exist? In your heart and in your mind. Inside you. When you're angry, where does it exist? Inside you. When you're afraid, where does it exist? Inside you. Yet who do we blame? Everything else around us. We blame everything else, never looking at, oh, the feeling is inside, so the issue must be inside as well. Emotional suffering is internal, it is not external. Ask yourself this question. When was the last time you blamed your own mind for your sadness? Never? When did you blame your own mind and say, it's my fault that I'm feeling sad? More often than not, it's your fault that I'm feeling sad. It's their fault. It's someone else's fault. So what we're doing is we are living in a life with a warped reality. We're walking around thinking this is normal life. Everyone acts like this, surely. This is how life works. You guys do something bad, I feel bad. Yeah? Let's say no one turned up at this course. How would I feel? I feel terrible. But I'd blame all of you guys, right? For not turning up. So what's the solution? If the problem exists in here, then the solution is to fix what's in here as well. How do we do that? The most fundamental concept within Gurmat, and a concept that is unique to this spiritual tradition that you hardly find anywhere else in any other spiritual tradition, is the idea of hukam. How do we define this word first? Hukam can be defined as a command. Normally in your translations you see it as God's command. Yeah? The word hukam does mean command. An order, like a king giving out orders. But we have to be very careful with words, because certain words we use create a duality. If we call it God's command, then it's that guy. So I don't like to use the word God. Yeah? Mr. God. So if we use the word order, it's his will, then it becomes this. So I call hukam natural order. Natural order. Things that are just happening. Universal law. The universe's way. The will of the universe. Starts to change how we interact with it. But this is the most important factor of your personal growth and your personal happiness, to understand this subject. And let's see what the Guru says. The third Guru, Guru Amar Das Ji, says, Hukam na jane bahta rove, andar tokha neend na sove. One who does not understand this concept, one who does not understand hukam, bahta rove, cries and cries, weeps and wails. Andar tokha neend na sove. One who does not understand hukam overly cries in despair. Internally deluded, they do not sleep in peace. If you don't understand this, the Guru is telling you, you're going to struggle in life. And he's not talking to the Sikhs. He's talking to humanity. Guru is saying, if human beings don't get this, they will suffer in life. But Guru Arjan Dev Ji gives the other side of hukam as well. So the first quote says, what happens if you don't understand hukam? The second quote now says, Jinni pachata hukam tine kade na rovana. The ones who understand hukam, they will never feel sadness. Look what the Guru has on offer for you. The Guru is offering you an opportunity in life to never, kade na rovana, never feel sadness again. You know, yesterday we had some questions around, why should I have this? Why do I need this spirituality? Why do I need to take this wisdom? Why do I need to do this and why do I need to do that? We had some group questions as I was going around. A lot of questions were around external form. Why do I need to take Amrit? Why do I need to do all these things? Right, let's put all of that stuff to one side. Let's see what the Guru is offering you. I feel like a host on one of these game shows. Let's see what's behind door number 2. The star prize is a lifetime of happiness. Hey. Right? And all you've got to do is answer these 3 questions. Take your time. Yeah? Phone a friend. So, what is available to you is a lifetime of happiness. Now you got to ask yourself, am I interested in Gurmat? Is this Gurmat for me or not? I would say everyone would want this star prize. But inside all of our minds, there's a doubt that comes up. That doesn't sound normal. Surely it's normal to feel sad and happy. Surely this is just wishful thinking. Like no one can be happy all the time. No one can be free from despair all the time. But in Japji Sahib, Guru Nanak confirms this. Nanak Bhagta Sada Vigas. Nanak says there are a group of people who he calls the enlightened ones, who are Sada Vigas, always free, carefree, playful, joyful. Vigas means playful. They're always happy. When they listen to what I have to say, suniye, dukh paap ka nas. When they listen to this message, when they apply this, they get rid of all mistakes and all sadness is destroyed in their life. The Guru confirms there are people like this today. It's possible. It's available to you. But you've got to be willing to take this on. And you've got to be willing to go against the tide, because there is a whole wave, especially in Western psychology and Western societies, that say this is wishful thinking. This is not normal. Normal mental health is defined by someone who is able to process a range of emotions. If you feel happy and if you feel sad, you're normal. A range of emotions. Correct me if I'm wrong, any mental health experts here. The definition of mental health is someone who's able to process with a range of emotions and function throughout those range of emotions. So as long as you can get to work every day, feel as sad as you need to, you're functioning, you're all right. As long as you're a functioning member of society. When you stop functioning, when you stop serving society, then you got a problem, because you can't get out of bed anymore. Guru Nanak is saying, Nanak dukhiya sab sansar. Guru Nanak says, I don't see the whole world as normal. I see the whole world as suffering. Guru Nanak defines every single human being alive right now, you and me, as saying, you guys are all miserable. Why? Because he's not seeing you as the benchmark of being normal. He's seeing the Bhagats, the Gurus, the enlightened ones, as the benchmark of human mental health, mental well-being. These people are what we should all be aspiring to. And it's possible. It is possible, folks. So let's look at hukam. Hukam, if we don't look at it in any detail, it implies God's will. So, God, you decide all the big stuff in life. God's going to decide who I get married to and how many kids we have, and God's going to decide when I die, but I'm going to decide the everyday stuff. Yeah? So if there's a cup of tea or a cup of coffee inside me, in front of me, I'm going to decide which one I'm going to have. But God's going to make the big decisions, the stuff that I can't control. So we have to be careful not to use terminology that makes a him and a me, and us and them. The word natural law, divine order, universal, oneness, these are good ways to understand it. But there's an even better word to understand hukam, which has worked for me, which is reality. This is life as it is. What is happening right now is hukam. You all sitting in this room is reality. Me standing here, reality. What you had for breakfast, what traffic you encountered. It's all life. It's just what life is doing. Not good nor bad. It's just life as it is. Hukam. That which is the reality of life. But we don't live with that reality in our mind. We have our own reality in our mind, and what is happening on the outside seems to go against what is happening on the inside. So, what we live with is something inside our head, our notion of what reality is. What do you call something that exists inside your head but doesn't exist in the real world? A fantasy. We're all living in a fantasy. Let me give you an example. When you're driving to work and traffic happens, how do you feel? Agitated, stressed, worried? Why? Not because of the traffic, but because in your head, the road is clear. The road should be clear. Why is the road not clear? What do you mean there's temporary lights? What do you mean the road is closed, I've got to go the other way round? What do you mean there's a lorry broken down? That's not allowed. That's not a part of my plan. I didn't have that picture in my mind. I had a picture in my mind that the road was clear. Stupidly, because the road is never clear at this time in the morning, but I still had that picture in my mind. For some reason, I'm living in a fantasy. When reality doesn't meet my fantasy, all of a sudden it changes how I feel. But who do I blame? I blame the road. I blame the traffic. I blame all the other people that are trying to drop their kids to school. Why don't you guys wake up earlier? Right? So you can drop your kids earlier. I don't need to. I leave at home at the same time every day. It's your fault. What's happening? My emotions are now no longer being controlled by the outside. My emotions are being controlled by the fantasy that I'm walking around in, saying, this is not right, this is not normal. So we really need to unpack this idea and how fundamental this is to our everyday experience of life. The simplest example that I like to start with. Do you remember when you were younger? Maybe some of you guys won't remember. Some of the older guys will remember. When you were younger, when there were no mobile phones, you had to agree with someone to meet you somewhere. Right? And then you would turn up and you just stand there until they turn up. Right? Because there was no way of contacting them. Because they probably left their homes, so there's no point even going to the phone box. Yeah? I have to tell my kids what a phone box is. Literally 2 days ago, I was dropping my kids to school. There's a phone box outside the school. And they said, Daddy, look, there's somebody in there making a phone call. And I'm like, yes, kids. Like, there are people without mobile phones. Right? They're like so fascinated by the fact that somebody's in a phone box making a phone call. I actually have an old school like phone in my office. My kid came up to me the other day and said, Daddy, what's that? And I'm trying to explain to him it's a telephone. And he's like pointing at a mobile saying, no, that's how you make phone calls. And this got buttons and this has got a wire. And I'm like, yeah, that's a phone. That's what a phone looks like. Right? So in the old days, you always used to carry a 10p coin so that you could call home if you're going to be late. Right? Do you remember those? And if I called you and I said to you, let's go out, let's go to the cinema or whatever, and we agree a time, I want you to be there at 12 o'clock. We're going to be there at 12 o'clock. We turn up, we're there at 12 o'clock. I'm there at 12 o'clock. If you turn up at 12:30, how am I going to feel? All right, not too bad, okay. I had to wait half an hour, but not too bad. If you turned up at 1:30 and I've been standing there since 12 o'clock, how am I going to feel? How are you going to feel? Annoyed. No phone calls, no text, no WhatsApp, nothing. Just turned up late. No excuses, nothing. Just be like, oh yeah, should we go watch the movie? What do you mean? I've been standing here for an hour and a half. What has happened? I set an expectation in my mind because I had a conversation with you. We agreed it. I set an expectation in my mind. Then I walk along to the cinema. That's how I walk. Walk along to the cinema there. I don't know why I'm walking to the cinema, but I'm walking. And I'm there. I'm standing outside. Ticket in my hand, waiting. 12, 5 past 12, 10 past 12. What is happening to my emotions more and more and more? It's getting worse and worse and worse, isn't it? I'm getting more and more angry. So, what is happening is that I'm sticking to 12 o'clock in my mind. 12 o'clock, he should have been here. It's 12 o'clock. It's 5 past 12. It's 10 past 12. It's quarter past 12. It's half past 12. My voice is getting higher. I'm getting more stressed, agitated. My breathing is changing. Why? Because I've held on to this expectation or this fantasy in my mind that I called you at 12, you're going to turn up at 12. My happiness is now based on my expectation. Nothing to do with you in reality. Actually, it's a little bit to do with you because you should have turned up on time. But my happiness is based on my expectation. So I want you to remember this little mathematical formula. Reality minus expectations equals happiness or sadness. Yeah? Let's write that down. Reality minus expectation determines my happiness or my sadness. How do you spell it? Is it double D? Single D? Teachers in the room, please help me. Reality minus expectation equals the happiness or sadness that I feel. Let's elaborate on this idea further because I really want you to understand this. The peace or suffering that I feel is based on my ideas in my head. Let's elaborate this further. If you turned up at 5 past, you've met my expectations. 5 past 12, you're a couple of minutes late, no big deal. You're within the boundaries of my expectation. If you turned up at half past, you're way beyond the boundaries of my expectation. If you turned up at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, like you're so far away from my expectation that now my emotional state is so deviated from the reality. The reality is you turned up late. It could have been a number of reasons. You know, my car broke down, I had a flat tire, I woke up late, the shower was broken. It could be a number of reasons. But at this point, I don't care. At this point, I'm so livid because you've gone so beyond my expectation. But where is the reality? The reality is there where you've turned up. But I'm not there. I'm here in the expectation. I'm stuck here. I'm putting my feet down. Let's change this scenario a little bit. Let's say I say to you, come over to my house. You say, what time shall I come? I say, I'm home all day. Come at any time. Anytime. So, you turn up at midday. How do I feel? How do you feel? I turn up at midday. How do you feel? All right. I turn up at 3 p.m. tea time. How do you feel? You feel all right. I turn up at 6 o'clock in the evening. How do you feel? You feel all right. What's the difference? Same scenario. We said we would meet, and I turn up at whatever time I like, but your emotional state is not affected. Why? What didn't you set in your mind? An expectation. You didn't set an expectation. You allowed reality to do whatever it was going to do. Whatever reality wanted to do, you let it do. So you turn up at midday, fine. You turn up at 6 p.m., fine. Guess what? You turn up at 2 a.m. How do I feel? There's a little bit of expectation, isn't there? Come on, be realistic. You turn up at 2 a.m. and I'm sleeping. He's like, hey man, you said any time. Right? There's a little bit of expectation in my mind. Yeah, but I meant daytime. Yeah, there's a little bit of expectation. Even if you think you're not creating an expectation, you've created a little bit. Yeah? Subtle one. So now what's your emotional state? All over the place. What do you mean turning up at this time? All that sort of stuff. Yeah? The guy's actually done what you've told them to do. Come at any time. You weren't specific enough. There's so many ways that we can start unpacking this, and I'm going to spend a lot of time on this because I want you to understand this. Husbands, pay attention. You ask your wife, it's your birthday coming up, what would you like? Your wife says, don't go to any trouble. It's the day of the birthday. You've done nothing. Right? How does your wife feel? Annoyed. Disappointed. And then you say, but sweetheart, you said, don't do anything. Yeah, but I didn't mean it. Right? What did the wife do? She created an expectation, and her expectation said, if you have to ask, you don't know me very well. Right? You shouldn't have to ask. We've been married for long enough. Yeah? Surprise me. That's what she really means. Don't do anything. Surprise me. But he actually followed your instruction to the T. I didn't do anything. You said not to do anything. Or do it the other way around. Honey, I don't want you to do anything. Seriously, let's not make a big deal of it. Birthday comes along. You throw a huge surprise party. How does she feel? Probably a little bit annoyed. Like, no, I actually meant I didn't want to do anything. Or if we were going to do something, let's do something small. I didn't want all this. How does she feel? So she set expectations in her mind. You set an expectation, but you don't communicate that properly. Mean another thing. And then your emotional state is his fault. It's your fault. You should know what I mean. You should know by now. Yeah? But the expectation and the emotional state is your doing. You've set that expectation in your mind. Okay? I always want to bring this back to Hukam. Bring this back to Gurbani. Bring this back to Gurmat. I don't want anyone to sit here and think that this is something else. This is some other knowledge. This is just some worldly stuff. Guru Nanak defines his path by Hukam. What is the first question in the Guru Granth Sahib? The first phrase written in the form of a question. Give satyara hoye. How do I find truth? How do I destroy falsehood? Give gure tutte pal, hukam rezai chalana. Guru Nanak's first answer to the very first question in Guru Granth Sahib is walk on the path of hukam. Walk according to what reality is doing. If you want to be calm and peaceful and happy in life, if you want to find inner bliss, It is all based on how willing you are to let reality do what it's going to do. Your happiness, your happiness and your peace in life is based on your ability to walk along with reality, not to be fixed in your fantasy and let reality go. That reality gets away from you, but you're saying, but I never expected this to happen. I want life to be like this. What are we doing when we're doing our ardas? We're creating fantasies. God, please can you do this for me? Please can you do that for me? I've done an account part. I put a bit of money, pounds into the Gurdwara, 101 pound, another 101 pounds and all that sort of stuff. Yeah? I've done all the stuff that I need to do. Right. I done my bit, you need to do your bit. It doesn't happen. Oh, I don't believe in God. Why? Because he didn't answer my prayer. I put that 10 pounds in the golek. Didn't answer my prayer. I put that 10 pounds in the golek. Job done. It's like, God's like McDonald's. You put something in, you get something back. Right? That's what we're treating the Gurdwara golek like. You know? You put some money in, you get something back. What have we done? This is what we're doing. We're creating fantasies within our mind. What Guru Nanak is saying is whatever reality does, you stand there. Whatever reality does, anything that happens in life, if you want to be happy, you go with it. You stand with it. You say, okay. Say yes, not no. Your suffering is based on how much resistance you have towards life. The more you resist anything that's happening, the more sadness you're going to feel. What does resistance mean? No, I don't want life to be like that. I want life to be like this. And now I'm going to do some prayers to tell the whole universe what it should do according to what I think is right in my head. That's what we do with ardas. You need to change your stuff. The whole universe. You need to change, because I've got a pretty good idea of what I think life should be like. I'm going to decide what life is like and I'm going to tell you about it. And the whole of life has to move according to my hukam. I'm going to make the commands. And then I'm going to be upset when you don't listen. Yeah? It's like we've made the universe into a magic genie, and the universe is supposed to come up to you and say, yes, master, you've got 3 wishes. You ask for whatever you like and I will say yes. What are we doing? And what is Guru Nanak asking you to do? Guru Nanak is asking you to walk on the path of hukam. That's his first instruction to you. And that is the most important instruction, because those who don't do it, they're always going to suffer. The ones who do it will never feel sadness again. So, what the Guru is asking you to do is to learn to live with the unpredictability of life. Learn to accept that life is going to be unpredictable. Life is going to change. Life is going to do stuff that you have no idea what it's going to do. Learn to make that your reality. Learn to make unpredictability your expectation. Make unpredictability your expectation. So, without saying it, you guys have all made an expectation coming here today. One of the expectations is, I'm going to turn up. One of your expectations is, you're going to be here till the end of the day. One of your expectations is, the roof isn't going to collapse. We are subtly creating expectations all the time without even knowing it. So when one of these unpredicted things happen, our emotions go all over the place. Oh, that wasn't meant to happen. Well, you know what? Yes, it was meant to happen. And that's why it happened. It happened because it was meant to happen. But when you say that wasn't meant to happen, what you mean was, that wasn't the picture in my head. This reality isn't good for me. this doesn't work for me. Sorry, can you change it, please? I've got a better idea of what life should be. Guru Nanak is saying, that's why you get upset. That's why you struggle in life. Because you have created a fantasy in your mind.
Have you found that spiritual teachings are great to learn, but not always easy to apply to your own life? Sometimes we all need a bit of support and guidance from people who know what we're going through and can help us find some answers. The Nanak Naam Facebook group helps you do just that. It's an online community where you can ask any questions about life and get answers from other members of the group. Search for Nanak Naam Community Support and join our free Facebook group today.
There is a phrase that we all use which is the cause of a lot of our suffering. And that phrase is I want. I want. Sounds simple enough. I want. But let's think about this. I want is the cause of almost all of your suffering. And it goes in line with the fantasy that you've built in your head. So, I told you to turn up at this time. What I'm really saying is, I want you to turn up at this time. I don't just set an expectation and then say, I've set it, but I don't really care about it. I've set the expectation saying, I want you to turn up at this time. I want my phone to stay fixed. I want the traffic to be clear. Any time you can think or say something to the effect of I want, what you're really saying is, if reality goes the way I want, then I'll be happy. What that really means is happiness is at the end of that statement. What that really means is I'm not happy now, I'll only be happy when I get what I want. Your happiness is over there, at the end of that I want. Anytime you say I want in life, what you're really saying is I'm not happy now. But we start getting confused. Well, what do you mean? Am I not allowed to want things in life? Am I not allowed to want good things for my family? Should I not want a good career? What I'm saying to you is, every time you do that, you build a tiny little expectation in your mind. Nobody is stopping you. You can have all the expectations you like. You can have all the wants that you like. But be prepared to have all the suffering that comes with the I wants and the expectations. Don't be surprised later on when you suffer and then you blame someone else, like, oh, what do you mean? Like, that's not what's in my head. So I want is your cause of suffering, and the Gurmat word, the concept for that is desire. But I don't use the word desire because it sounds like, oh, I don't have any desires. Well, guess what? You're making desires every minute. Little I want statements. Yeah? Like, what do I want to wear today? You turn up to the cupboard. I want to wear that. You turn up. Oh, it's not there. Oh, it's in the laundry. Oh, Mom, why didn't you wash it? All that sort of stuff. Yeah? Why is it in the laundry? Because you put it there. Well, why isn't it clean? Because I'm doing the laundry tomorrow. But I want to wear that now. Little I want statements are going on all the time. I want you to have done something without me even asking you. Little I wants, little expectations all the time. And they are causing your emotional state. Remember, folks, we're only talking about your emotions. I don't care about what you want. I don't care about your expectations. But you are the one living with these emotional turmoil every day at every little time. The reason why I'm giving you so many examples is to show you I'm going through this stuff as well. We're all going through these things every day. So, one final example. I'm dropping my kids to school. Some days I have a great time. Same journey, same time, leaving at the same time. Some days I'm thinking, oh, I really like dropping my kids to school. It's a really nice time, just me and the kids, getting to bond with them. This is lovely. Other days I'm screaming at them. And other days I'm like, let's just put some kirtan on just so that I can have some peace and quiet. Right? What's happening is that the kids are acting differently every day. Some days they're dead quiet, they're just looking out the window. And I'm thinking, oh, isn't this lovely? It's so nice, father-child bonding time. Sometimes they're asking really interesting questions and we're having a little conversation about it. The next day they're asking questions, but I've got something else on my mind and I'm getting stressed. I'm like, stop asking me questions. The other time they're fighting away. Yeah, just kicking and pinching each other. Daddy, he punched me, he touched my nose, all that sort of stuff. Right? That's happening all the time. Parents will completely understand this stuff, right? And so my emotions are different every single day when I'm dropping them to school because I have one expectation in my mind that every day when I drop them to school, they're going to be quiet. But they're not. They're kids. They do what kids do every day. They don't live according to your plans. They don't even make any plans of their own. They just, every day, they have no idea how they're going to act. Yeah? My question to you is, do you know how you're going to act every day? Can you wake up in the morning and know what range of emotions am I going to go through today? You can't. It's potluck, isn't it? It's like you're jumping on a roller coaster when you wake up in the morning, so I have no idea how I'm going to feel today. Isn't that a bit strange that you have no control over your own emotions? You just wake up every morning and say, good luck, you know? Good luck out there. Because you have no idea what emotions you're going to go through. Because you're not aware of the expectations that you're going to set for yourselves. You're not aware of how to deal when life just starts doing random stuff. Unpredictability. So, what do you have to ask yourself at every moment of stress, distress, sadness, fear, anger, anything that you might call an unwanted negative emotion? Ask yourself this question. What expectation have I set of this moment? And you'll notice straight away the emotion drops. When you ask yourself that question, what expectation have I set of this moment? Why am I feeling this way? Because of an expectation. What expectations? I expected the kids to be quiet. When you realize your expectation and you let it go, then you're driving and you're happy. Oh, the kids are making a noise, but I don't have any expectation. So I'm free. I free myself because I free myself of an expectation that I didn't know I was carrying around. So we're doing this all the time. You know, sometimes you see these nature programs and there's the fish that's always like jumping against the stream, like really struggling, and they look like they're like really like struggling for air, and then they go back in. And we're doing that all the time. We're the fish. The flow of life is the river. And the Guru refers to life in this way. The Guru refers to life as a stream, an ever-flowing stream. Life is going in one way. Tu hi dariya, tu hi kariya. Yeah? You are the river, you are the doer of all things. Yeah? So Gurbani is trying to make you understand that life is not against you. Life is not doing stuff to spite you. If the river is flowing one way and the fish is foolish enough to go the other way, he can't then turn around and blame the river and saying, you're the reason why I feel stressed. Because the river is saying, hey man, go with the flow. My hukam is that I have to go in this direction. The river can only go downstream. That's his hukam. That's the only way he can go. That's his command. That's his life. And the fish is saying, but I want to go that way. And life is saying, but I am going this way. It doesn't matter what you want. I am going this way. Come along. It's a lot easier. Let go of what you want. Let go of desire. The first issue out of 5 issues in our life, the panch chor, we call them the 5 thieves. The 5 thieves that steal what? If they're a thief, what are they stealing? They're stealing your bliss. They're stealing your bliss away from you. And the number 1 thief is desire, calm. Wants, I wants. That's stealing your happiness. And when you want something more and more and more, then you're getting more and more angry. So when you want more, you get angry more. What's the second one? Krodh. And then you really want it. I really want it. I'm determined. Lobh, greed. You start saying, I'm really going in that way. And when you finally, if you do get it, then say, I did it. It's mine. I got it. It's mine. Yeah, I did it. I'm the one to celebrate. More. Attachment. And when you finally go against the tide and you get whatever you want, you create an identity. You put a brick on your identity. Hankar. This is who I am. I'm the one that succeeded in life. I'm the one that did this. Guru Nanak has described a psychological process. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Hankar. Desire, anger, greed, attachment, identification. This is a psychological process that you and me all go through. And he says, this process is stealing your bliss. And it's happening to all of us. Life is going to do what life is going to do. If you want to define hukam in one way, life is going to do what it's going to do. So let life do what it's going to do. Asking why life is doing what it's doing is futile. Any science fiction geeks? Trekkies? The biggest resistance force against the Starship Federation was a group of robotic aliens called the Borg. And they were the meanest and the baddest enemies of the Star Trek characters. And they used to have a saying, resistance is futile. We are going to win. We are going to assimilate you. We are going to kill you. Don't resist. So be like the Borg. Resistance is futile. Resisting against life is pointless. Asking, why did this happen to me, is like the fish asking the river, why are you going that way? Guru Nanak explains, Hukam na kahiya jaye. In Japji Sahib, he says, Hukam cannot be explained. Asking why is pointless, because it's going to do what it's going to do. Hukam cannot be explained why it does what it does. It just does what it does. Hukam na kahiya jaye. You can't ask questions about life. It just does what it does. But what you can do is hukam rajai chalana. You can go with the flow. See, you guys all thought Guru Nanak was talking about God. He's talking about you and how to make you happy. But you don't want life to go the way it's going to go. You want the way life is going to go according to you. That is called home, ego, hankar. My ideas, how I want life to go. So you reject reality and you hold on to your fantasy. So when you start to understand life in this way, you start to understand in reality there is no good and bad. There is what is happening and there is what you want to happen. There's actually no good or bad. Common question we get all the time. Why do bad things happen to good people? What does Guru Nanak say? There is no one bad and there is no one good. Bura pala kisno kahiye? Who am I going to call bad and good? Sab kich ape aap. Everything is you. You're doing everything. Who am I going to call good and bad? By what standard am I going to label the circumstances of life as good or bad. I tell you by what standard? By my standard. It's good because it suits me. It's bad because it doesn't suit me. And then you want to know why you can't find God? Because there's a big me standing in the way of the flow of life. God is the flow of life. This is what we mean when we say you are God. Because you are hukam. You think you made yourself come here today? You didn't. You didn't make yourself come here today. The whole universe had to do a whole bunch of stuff in order for you to sit here today. You are the product of hukam. You are the product of the river going in a certain way. But every now and then you forget and you start going the other way. But in reality, you can't do much outside of hukam. But you can do a lot of battling with hukam in your mind. The truth of the matter is, you don't even know if the next breath is going to come in. You don't know. How many times have we heard people who've passed away for no reason? Oh, they died too young. That wasn't their time. They weren't supposed to go. That's the kind of words we use. What's the hukam way of talking about it? No, they were supposed to go. That was their time. It might not have suited you, but that was their time. But that was not your fantasy. So we see that good means that life is meeting my expectations, and bad is that life is not meeting my expectations. The universe is not against you, though. You have to learn to not be against the universe. So what about people's actions? Surely some people are doing bad stuff. Surely some people are doing bad things. Surely there are some things that we should agree as a group, as a society, that these things are not allowed. So we see blame as integral to people taking personal responsibility. I want you to take the blame for this so that you learn not to do that again. But what we don't understand, nobody does what they think is wrong. Everybody is walking around thinking, I'm right. Even a thief thinks he's right. What does the thief think? That guy's got too much money. If I take some of it, no big deal. I'm right. Like, I've had a hard life. I should have a good life. I'll take a bit of his money. He's not doing it saying, I'm going to do the wrong thing. He's doing it saying, that's the right for me. So you think you're right, and the person you dislike is thinking they're right. Everybody is thinking that they're right, and you both are arguing it with each other. And what you're really arguing about is, but in my head I'm right, and in my head you're wrong. And the other guy's saying, in my head I'm right, and in my head you're wrong. So who's right and who's wrong? So we create this duality all the time. I'm the victim, I blame you. You're wrong, I'm right. We create all of this conflict in our life. You know, one of my favorite lines from Jap Sahib absolutely touches me every time. Guru Nanak Dev Ji talked about hukam. Guru Gobind Singh Ji refines it in such a beautiful way. He says, Namo kalhe karta, namo shanta rupe. I bow down to the one who creates conflict. I bow down to the one who creates peace and tranquility. Namo kalhe karta, the one who creates kalesh, and the one who is the embodiment of shanti, of bliss. The gurus were all talking about the same things. Don't ever have this idea that one guru is different from another. You know, we'd like to think these days, oh, I wish the gurus were around. Sometimes we think like that. I wish the gurus were around. The guru is around. It's called Guru Granth Sahib. You think Guru Granth Sahib is going to say a different answer to Guru Nanak? They're saying the same thing. People like to think like Guru Gobind Singh Ji left us with some inferior guru. Like, oh, it would have been better if the guru was here. The Guru Gobind Singh Ji didn't leave you with an inferior guru. He left you with a superior guru, because all the gurus are in Guru Granth Sahib. And not only are the gurus that are in Guru Granth Sahib, the Bhagats are in Guru Granth Sahib as well. Look at the treasure we've been left with. Don't ever walk around saying, I wish the guru was around. Think the Panth would be a lot better. The Sikhs would be in a much better position. You have the guru. You just don't know what to do with this guru. Yeah? So you keep doing your account parts, thinking that that's going to solve all the problems. That's what we do. So every single person is acting according to their hukum. Now here's another word for hukum, programming. I'm an IT geek, right? So that's a really simple example for me. I understand that. Programming. You're coded in a certain way. Let's take a different word, conditioning. Everybody acts according to their conditioning. You don't do anything outside of how you've been conditioned by your scenarios, your circumstances, your upbringing. The reason you think the way you think about every single thing is because life has molded you in that way, so you're now of the opinions that you have. Because you've been programmed in a certain way. So, we can start looking at very difficult scenarios in life now. People did what they did to you because they were programmed in that way. That's what they thought was the only right way to do it. Let's go into some serious issues here. Conflict, debate, domestic abuse. The people who were doing it were conditioned. They were programmed in that way. Now, I'm not saying we just sit back and say, okay, that's not a problem. You can go. You were conditioned in that way. I'm not saying that we have everyone just walk around free, do whatever they want. I don't care about what other people do. I want you to care about your emotional state. Let's not worry about fixing the whole world. Let's fix our mind, and maybe the world will be okay. Man jeete, jag jeet. Conquer your mind first before you conquer the whole world. Fix this stuff, because there's a lot to fix just in here. So, whatever the scenario is, it starts with an expectation in our mind that life should always be pleasurable. That's a big expectation. My life is supposed to go well. That's an expectation. I'm supposed to be happy all the time. Good stuff is supposed to happen to me because I'm a good person. Bad stuff not supposed to happen to me. Life is supposed to go well. But that's not reality. That's not the reality of life, is it? Life does what it does. That's what it does. And what we do is we hold on to negativity. How many times have you done this? You're sitting somewhere, perfectly happy. Somebody who you don't like walks past. What happens to your emotional state? Like they haven't even seen you, they're just like walking away. Like, look what happens to your emotional state. All over the place. Oh, he did this to me, he did that to me, he did this, he did that. All over the place, your emotions. You know what I call that? I say you're meditating on that person. Because guess what? An hour later, they've long gone. What have you got? Still holding on to that in your mind. Isn't that meditation? Isn't that Simran? My question to you is, why are you meditating on the people you don't like? Why are you holding on to them? That person said this, that person said this, that person. You just keep doing it. You keep meditating on that person. Do you want to meditate on the people you don't like? That's what you're doing. I'm reminded of a story. This is a story that my teacher taught me. And he says, there are two monks who are walking one day. And these monks have taken a vow to never touch women, to have no interaction with women. So these two monks are walking one day. They come across a stream. And there's an old lady standing at the side of the stream. She's not able to cross. One monk doesn't even ask any questions, picks up the old lady, puts her on his back, crosses the river, puts her down, and they carry on walking. They carry on walking. It's been about half an hour, maybe an hour. And the second monk is really agitated, and he says, hold on. I need to ask you a question. Look, right, we've agreed, we've taken a vow, we're never going to touch women. Why did you pick up that old lady? The first monk says, I picked her up and I took her over the stream and I left her there. Why are you still carrying her? This is what we do. This is what we do. We keep onto these things in our minds. We need to understand people do what they're going to do. The bad people, They're just doing what they're going to do. We can't change everything. We can change our minds. We see good and bad in this way. Life is good, death is bad. I get something, it's good for me, it's good. It's not good for me, then it's bad. We need to start changing some of these things. Start walking on the line of hukum. The oneness, the universe, God, life is going to do what it's going to do, and it doesn't ask anyone's permission. Life doesn't need your permission. Life doesn't need you to tell it what to do. It's going to do it anyway. You're going to have to start changing the way you interact with life. We also have things like, things happen for a reason. That's another good one. I hear that sometimes. Oh, it's not good, but there must be some good out of it. What we're doing is we're saying, this doesn't quite sound right, I'm just going to create a new fantasy. I'm just going to put a fantasy somewhere else that somehow this is going to work itself out. Maybe that's a good way of thinking, that you're just trying to see the positive in everything. Or maybe that's just you not accepting reality. This is definitely not good, but the good is coming tomorrow. Everything happens for a reason. Maybe everything doesn't happen for a reason. Maybe everything just happens. Life just happens. And the more you start to deal with the unpredictability of life and you start accepting the unpredictability of life, the more happy you're going to be. This is Guru Nanak's #1 lesson for you. The most important lesson for you. Forget everything else. Live in the acceptance of life and you will start being happier. Yeah? If you start seeing the benefit now, rather than saying there must be some benefit tomorrow, otherwise you're not accepting reality. One of the key lessons that you need to start understanding is, I cannot change the world. I cannot change others, but my response is my responsibility. I can choose how I respond to you. I can decide how I respond to this scenario. I cannot change other people, I cannot change the world, but my response is my responsibility. So we start looking at this, we've already touched upon this idea of free will already. Do you have free will? Or does everything that you do come from how you've been programmed? If tomorrow you start dealing with life better, it might be because of something that you've learned today. Not because of your free will, I choose. You don't actually even choose your emotions. You're lucky if you have good emotions. If you haven't been taught the right way to deal with life, then that is something that is lacking for you. And this is the word that the Guru keeps going back again and again, and it says, actually, it's your grace if I'm okay. It's your grace. I can't control my emotions. If you were to show me the Guru, and this is where we start seeing Barney's like, please, show me the Guru. Show me somebody who is a student of the Guru, that I may learn from them, that I may bow my head to them because they've learnt how to live life. Show me someone who can live like this. But we walk around saying, I'm in control of life. I'm the owner of my life. I'm the doer of life. And if you are the doer of life, that's where your regret comes in as well, because then you start blaming yourself for the stuff that you think you did. Think of a scenario in life where you've done something that you now regret. Any scenario in life that you think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I wish I'd have done something different. Now answer this one question. Would you do the same thing today knowing what you know now? Yes or no? Today, if you were presented with that same thing, would you do the same thing that you regret before? Chances are you say, no, now that I know, I wouldn't do it. There you go. Now you know, now you wouldn't do it. But back then, you didn't know. So you did it. Who are you going to blame? You're going to walk around your whole life blaming yourself for something that you didn't know? How can you blame yourself? Let go. That's another ego. One of my most favorite mantras. In a couple of years ago, the most famous Disney movie was Frozen. Right? Most famous movie. What's the song from Let It Go? I tell you what, that's the most spiritual thing that's come out of Disney. Yeah? If you just do the Let It Go mantra, let it go, let it go, let it go. At every moment, let it go. Let go of my expectations. Hold on to reality. Let go of what's in your mind. If you remember nothing, you'll remember the Frozen mantra. Yeah? Let it go. Just let it go. And start doing that.
Let your beards grow.
Let it go, let it grow. I like that one. So, stop blaming yourself. Regret, self-blame is where you yourself are causing your own oppression. Now there's not somebody else to blame. Now you yourself are the person to blame. And you start holding on to that. How are we doing for time, folks, by the way? Break starts in 20 minutes. I'll start wrapping up and then we can start. I want you guys to have time for questions. Are you able to change the past? Yes or no? No, then let it go. Look, here's a very important thing. I get questions all the time from people saying, I can't overcome a difficult relationship. I can't get over the fact that I was in this amazing relationship and he or she changed their mind and walked away. Years later, people are still walking around saying, I can't get into new relationships because I'm stuck. What I say to you is, here is that relationship. But what you're doing as time moves on is you're carrying that trauma with you. All I ask you to do is just put it down as time moves on. That's always going to be there. That trauma is always going to be there in your life. You're never going to be able to change that past. But you can say something to yourself. You can say, I cannot change the past, but I choose happiness now. I don't have to live with that trauma now. It happened then. I don't have to live with it now. I cannot change the past, but I choose happiness now. Why is this so difficult to do, folks? Why is this the hardest thing to do? The hardest thing to do is to let go of the fantasies, because your fantasies are part of your bricks. They're part of your identity, because you actually want to hold on to them. Because when you hold on to them, you can say, this is who I am. And you like yourself. And you say, I quite like the way I am. I want everything else to change, but I don't want me to change. And the Guru is saying, I can't do that, but I can show you how you can change. We can't change everything, folks. The river can't change its flow, but the fish can change its mind. So, do you want to hold on to your bricks that are causing you pain? Or is it time to start letting them go? Nanak hukme je bujhe ta homme keh na koi. Guru Nanak says that if you get the understanding of this hukam, of the will, of reality, if you understand reality, you no longer are concerned with the I am. This is who I am. I want life to go the way I want it to go. Nanak, hukme je bujhe. Nanak says, if you understand the hukam, if you understand reality is going in that direction, and if you understand that your happiness comes by going along with hukam razai chalana, then homme kehna koi, then you wouldn't talk about what you want, what your fantasy is, what your idea of life is. So, hukam is the understanding to let go of yourself. Let go of yourself. Let go of the delusion that you can decide. And it challenges us. It's a bit difficult to do. It challenges our sense of self. I'm not sure I can do that. That's not who I am. I've always lived like this. Or maybe it's time to change. So hukam and homme are opposites. It's either my way or it's your way, the universe's way. But you know what? The universe has left you at this point where you've been doing stuff your own way all this time, or you think it's been your way, but actually the universe has programmed you to think like this. Maybe today's the day to change. Maybe today the universe is giving you a new opportunity to change the way you think. Let go of this idea of individuality, your self-control, and start living as part of the bigger picture of life. Life is going to do what it's going to do. What's one of the biggest expectations that you hold on to? One of the biggest expectations hold on to is, I'm going to live for a while. I expect to live long. The Guru says, have no expectations even that you're going to live to the end of this day. Guru Arjan Dev Ji says, Pehla maran kabool, jeevan ki chhad aas. First accept death. If you're going to start learning how to accept life, first accept death. Jeevan ki chhad aas. Let go of the desire to live. Ho sabna ki ren ka, to aao hamare paas. Put yourself low. Humble yourself to the will of the universe and the will of everything else around you. Then come to the Guru. Then you're ready to start learning what this Guru has to teach you. This isn't small Mickey Mouse stuff, folks. This is big. The Guru is saying, learn first to accept that I'm here to die. Sabna marna aya. Everybody has come to die. So why do you walk around thinking that death is bad? You've been born to die. Start letting go of your will to even be alive. Sounds morbid, sounds terrible. You start telling this to the people on the street, they'll say, what do you mean you don't wish to die? Like something wrong with you? Say, no, that's the cause of my happiness. That's the cause of your misery. I am free because I am not even attached to the idea of being alive. Kabir, jis marne te jag dare, mere man anand. Kabir says, the death that everyone else is afraid of, it gives my mind anand. Marne hi te paye puran parmanand. Because when I've learned to die, I found supreme bliss. Who do you want to listen to, folks? The people who found happiness in life, or the ones who say, no, happiness is not possible? This is what's on offer to you.
A recent study has shown that over 75% of Sikhs say that their life feels stressful or overwhelming. These feelings can develop into depression, alcohol abuse, or even suicide. We believe that Guru Nanak's wisdom can help transform people's lives. Nanak Naam relies on your donation to help create more videos and podcasts like this to educate people all over the world on how to use Guru Nanak's teachings to improve their emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Set up a monthly donation today and help change someone's life. Visit nanaknaam.org/donate.
If you don't understand this, then this is the most fundamental thing for you to understand. Now's your opportunity. Any questions that you have around a lot that we've covered today, feel free to ask. Very important question. That how do I get rid of the expectation that I'm not supposed to have any expectations? Because this isn't a theory. This is something that you're going to have to face at every single moment in life. Things are going to challenge you. Things are going to upset you at every moment. And you're not going to then be questioning yourself whether I'm not supposed to have an expectation. You're going to have a realization, oh, it's because I create an expectation. There was a subtle expectation here. There was a subtle expectation there. What I'm saying to you is don't focus on your expectations. Focus on a mindset of acceptance at every moment. Accept everything at every single moment. That's how you don't create expectations. You create a willingness for life to do whatever it's going to do. Be willing for life to just flow. Don't worry about not creating expectations, because the mind is always going to create expectations. But your willingness to accept life, no matter what your mind says, is where your tranquility is going to come from. So don't focus on the expectations, otherwise you're going to make yourself go crazy. Just think about accepting, accept. You know what? This is where mantra comes in. You can have a mantra in your mind, a mantra, a life phrase that you use. Imagine the life phrase that you said at every moment is, this is your grace. I see everything as a gift. This is your gift. This moment is your grace. This moment is your grace. This moment is your grace. In Gurbani we could say, Jo tera hukam, Jo tera hukam, Jo tera hukam. At every moment. Oh, so you walk outside, it's raining, Jo tera hukam. You go to the break and you're expecting that there's coffee. There's no coffee, there's no biscuits, Jo tera hukam. Create mantra. This is how mantra starts to work. It starts to override our thinking. One more mic over here, please. What I'm saying is that these are levels. The amount of expectations you have can be reduced. Sometimes you can't get rid of all expectations. So you can have sometimes a little bit of expectations and still kind of mainly flow in reality, but there's a little bit of expectation, that's why you're a little bit upset. So the amount of expectation that you reduce is going to increase your happiness or decide whether there's a little bit of sadness inside you. So it's almost proportional. The more expectation there is, the more sadness there will be when reality does something else. The more reality deviates, let's put it in a different way. Let's put it in a different way. In terms of time or in terms of events, this is where you create a moment of expectation. Life or the reality scale starts moving and moving and moving and moving. The more reality deviates from your expectation, the more unhappy you're going to be, because your expectation is here. So if reality meets your expectation, your happiness is here. The more reality deviates from your expectation, let me try that again, because some folks at the back can't see it. You create an expectation here, and you say that if this happens, I'm going to be happy. The more reality deviates from your expectation, the more sad you're going to be, because you placed your happiness with this expectation. You placed your happiness there. If reality went this way, then it's okay. You're going to be happy. But it works the other way as well. So if you play the lottery, you generally have very low expectations. Yeah? If you lose, it's okay, because you don't have a lot of expectations. Yeah? But if you win £10, you feel a little bit happy. If you win £1 million, you feel a lot happier. But because you didn't create any expectations. But imagine you created a lot of expectation that says, I am going to win the lottery. What if you started to lose money? What if you invested in a business and you said, I'm going to be happy because this business is going to work? The more reality starts to go in a particular way, you've placed your happiness there. What Guru Nanak is saying is, don't place your happiness there, place your happiness here. That no matter where reality goes, your happiness is here. Because reality doesn't even go in a straight line, folks, it goes all over the place. That's a really good question. Can I choose happiness now? The question is, if you could actually choose happiness now, you would have chosen it at every moment of your life. You can't actually choose happiness. You have to have reprogrammed your mind in order for your mind to give happiness as your response. The Guru And this wisdom, if you spend a lot of time with this wisdom every day, drumming this wisdom into your mind, it will give you a new choice of happiness every day. But the reality is, I've misled you, because I've told you you can choose happiness, but you can't. If you could choose happiness, you would have chosen it by now. But your programming meant that you couldn't choose happening. You chose the wrong reaction every time. It's the Guru's wisdom that if you plant that wisdom in your mind every day, I need to learn this, then you will start giving yourself a new response.
But isn't that a choice?
Is it a choice that you make, that you turned up here today? I would say yes, isn't it? I knew you were going to say that. But it isn't a choice that you turned up here today. It's your programming that you turned up here today. You turned up here because of whatever has happened in your life, and you saw a message and an idea, a firework went off in your head that said, oh, I think I'll go to that. Yeah, an idea popped into your head, said, sounds good, I'm available, I can go to that. Yeah? Did you choose that response? Or did the idea pop into your head? Because the same event could have come a week later, and the idea, the answer that would have popped into your head would have said, no, that's not for me. Or it could have happened a year later, or a year earlier, when you weren't in the situation that you're in now, and you would have looked at this event and you would have said, nope, not for me. Did you choose, or did your mind just happen to give the only answer it could have given at that moment in time? Could you have had a choice to not come here today? Ask yourself that question. I don't think you could have had a choice to not come here today. Because if you could have made that choice, you would have sat there, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? And even if you did, the final answer that came out is the answer that was the only answer that could have come out. And you know what? This scares the hell out of us, because we think, what? I have no control? Like, I don't make my thoughts, I don't do these kind of things. I agree, this takes some time. This takes some time to work out, because we've lived our whole life saying, what do you mean? I do make choices all the time. Look, let's not get into a philosophical debate, because I don't really care whether or not you have free will or not. What I really care about is your circumstances and your ability to deal with them. If you like to think that you have free will, make the right choices and have the right responses. I know from my own understanding, from my experience, that there is no free will. Because free will means that I am independent from the universe and I will do what I want. What I'm saying to you is you are never independent from the universe. The wave is never independent from the ocean. The wave can never be free from the ocean. That is what oneness means. And every idea that pops into your head is not a free idea. It's an idea that pops into your head as the only idea that could have popped into your head at that moment in time. Every choice that you've made until this moment is the only choice that could have been made, which is why you can't blame yourself for the past, because you wouldn't do it now. You didn't choose that. Even though it felt like a choice, like I had a choice that I could have done this or that. I chose this and it turned out to be the wrong decision, and I'm living with the regret of that. The question is, why did you choose that? At that moment in time, that was the only logical choice that you could have made.